Hello all and welcome to the lesson planning cycle for North American International School and how we're doing our digital and online learning. Before we even look at Schoology, before we even look at assignment, before we look at Zoom conference, we have to go back to the foundations, and the foundations is lesson planning. So I have, and this is now the updated version based upon feedback of our digital learning lesson plan for North American International School. You're going to put the week of, so I'm going to go ahead and create this regarding the week of March 26th. Now, right here, it says professional development. You are going to put your subject area. When I create this class, I'm doing it based upon our professional development, so that is technically our class. The instructor is your name, Miss Jessie. The technology platform will always be, at this point in time, Schoology. That is it. And Zoom. If you're putting lessons in other places, we will link them, but the technology platform is for when we go back and have to do our records. We know where all of this information is posted and hosted, so that's important. Class grade, I am putting graduate because this is my teachers. And then I am going to put professional development down as the subject again, because at this point in time, if you are an elective, let's say this here subject would be science, but here you would put environmental science because because you're putting down your actual title of your subject. Your scope and sequence is for the week. For this week in digital learning, I'm looking at what is my standard for this week. I'm putting that in because I'm going to do something called backwards planning. And that means I look at the goal and then I look at the steps it gets there and then I go back to step one. Because professional development is a little bit different, I'm just going to put the curriculum standard is developing and understanding the NAIS expectations for the online learning lesson cycle and practice, digital practice. That's actually a very, very broad scope and sequence. However, your scope and sequence should honestly just be your curriculum standard. So if I had North Carolina 2.3.12A, you're putting that information there as well. The goal for the week is to break this down. My goal is teachers will understand the model expectation for our lesson cycle. Also, I'm going to go ahead and make this a bullet point. Teachers will understand the expectations for creating assignments and providing feedback. Also, teachers will understand basic platform rules to create assignments. So those are my big goals this week. Vocabulary. I honestly at this point don't have vocabulary, but you put your vocabulary. Supporting activities for the week. The supporting activities is if you have exact path, if you have reading A to Z, if you have I Can Read Arabic, and that's actually going to be used in a different way once I roll this out a little bit more. But I'm just going to put that and leave that blank. Now we're going to our daily lesson plan. So I'm working, and if you notice now we are at Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We have made the rule now that there are no assignments to be given. So because there are no assignments to be given on Thursday, we did not put that date down. You're working for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Now, I forgot to put a thing here, and I'm going to put it in a second. I'm going to go ahead and break down my learning target. My learning target for this time is to show the lesson planning cycle in a digital platform. That is learning target 1. 2, let me put a bullet here, is to show the lesson cycle and how it looks in Schoology and Zoom. Now, let's pay attention to the fact that I actually have 2 learning targets in one day, correct? Honestly, if I were talking to you, I would say let's not do this, because this means that I might be going over my goal of about 20 to 30 minutes. However, if I look at this, I can look at the language and I see it's almost the same. So I'm going to use the one that's a little bit more explicit. So I'm going to take out the first dot and stay with the second dot, because once again, in my Sunday plan, I am creating something that can be finished in about 20 to 30 minutes. Here's my first part. Is prior knowledge needed? If so, what is the support? Is prior knowledge needed for the support that I am doing? If I'm teaching new vocabulary, would it trigger to prior knowledge? If I'm doing a new concept, is it prior knowledge? For this, I just need, teachers need to know how to access Schoology. Teachers need to have access to the NAIS model course in Schoology. So anything that's needed, because this is where I might have a problem with kids who don't understand. I need to pre-think that information out. So I'm sending all that information. Now we go to this part down here. I don't know if it's really far on your screen, so I'm going to try to pull it up a little bit. The very first is we're changing the lesson cycle. I know we've heard about I do, you do, we do. That is the lesson cycle we're using for digital because it's a little bit more transparent in the expectations. I do. And I do, what you're looking at is what is the teacher supposed to do in order to teach the information to the students. So if I were in a regular classroom, the I do is usually the part that is on the board. The I do is the part when teachers are doing the most talking. The I do is when students are taking notes and listening. In most situations for an I do, you have to remember that student talk should always be more than teacher talk. So your I do should never, ever be more than 10 minutes in any lesson. Therefore, in this case, I'm going to do an I do. My I do in the first lesson that I'm doing is explaining the expectation. And I'm going to go back here to the estimated time is, I don't want to go over 10 minutes. So when I go back to I do, the video recording is going to be explaining the expectation of building a lesson in Schoology. This is going to change this a little bit. Setting up teachers for the, excuse my typing, for the basic understanding of a lesson cycle. This is actually going to change this a little bit, but I'm in the middle of my planning, and your planning needs to be this thought out. I know that I'm going to put an I do, and this is important, video recording in Schoology. Whatever your I do is, we are going to record it and put that video support into Schoology. Now, you have your estimated time. Most videos should not be more than 10 minutes. After you actually record the video, you should come back to your lesson plan, and if you upload it to YouTube, you post that link, but you post that information so we have that information and you put your actual time. We do. And I do, if the teacher's doing all the talking, once the teacher finishes teaching, they do an activity together with students. Students are now doing the same thing the teacher does, and the teacher is supporting. So that's usually a worksheet or some type of support practice or anything else like that. In this case, our we do is a guided practice. That's what it's called. And that is what you're doing in Zoom. So you're going to provide something that is a guided practice. So in this one, I'm going to say guided practice is a lesson cycle written on a lesson plan correctly and following the expectations of the NAIS curriculum. Okay, so this guided practice, here's what happens when we get into the actual assignment. I can send out the paper, I can send out the guided practice, and I will, and students are able to do it independently if they are high or strong enough. If they're not, if they have questions, if they have help, that's what the Zoom conference topic is about. And so before I even do that, what is my areas of concern? My areas of concern is, will the steps be broken up for understanding? What about timing issues? Because these are questions that you guys are giving me now, and so these are answers I know I need to know now. What about submissions and grades? What else am I concerned about with the lesson cycle? Do all teachers know the I do, we do, you do? So these are things that I can already be prepared for in my conference that I might have to be able to talk about, and anything else, because I am already thinking about what my students or would struggle on. The you do practice is the independent practice, which is the assignment to be uploaded. So in this case, I'm going to provide a blank lesson planning template, and teachers will upload and submit. There we go. So I now estimate how much that independent practice time is going to say. Yours should never be more than 20 minutes. One thing that you can do is count the number of questions. When you do one question, how long did it take you to do that question? And then how long do you think kids will be? Remembering that kids take about twice as much as time. Therefore, you do want to make sure that your estimated time is 20 to 30 minutes. But for this case, if I'm being true to life, I know that you guys doing a lesson plan is going to probably be about 60 minutes. Then I have support resources. If I am not available on Zoom, is there anything else that I can do to support this? I am going to provide YouTube video on lesson cycle. I'm going to have a link or article about digital learning, and I'm going to have a discussion group in Schoology that can post questions. Now I'm going to add one more piece, and I'm going to say, oops, I didn't want to add that one. I wanted to add okay, it's reading the dot. Give me a second. I'm going to add one more piece, and it's going to say, when is this assignment due? And then I know that this assignment is due in 48 hours. So I'm going to put 48 hours. And since this is given on Sunday, that means the deadline is for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday at 12 p.m. So that is part of the lesson cycle process that we are now moving towards for our digital lesson plan. All of this is very important about where we're trying to go, because while you're in the model lesson, you're going to see exactly what this ends up looking like when it comes to life, and it is the expectation of what we're doing and how it's going to look in Schoology. We will all be on one accord, and it is very important that we're all able to look and have things look that way. So thank you very much. I'm providing more videos as we continue on this journey together. I will see you in the next video.